April 28th, 2012, Eastern Conference Playoffs, Round 1, Game 1. Derrick Rose, the youngest MVP in league history, is looking to lead his hometown Chicago Bulls to their first championship since Michael Jordan had retired in 1998. But it was ultimately Derrick's greatest trait.
He's just faster than everyone.
I just never in my life ever saw anybody that explosive.
D Rose is quick, like his quick is on a whole nother level.
That destroyed his career.
Rose came down bad on his left foot.
I knew that I told my shit right away, I'm never gonna be the same. Like, I'm never gonna be the same, bro.
Chicago does get a Game 1 win, but at the expense perhaps of losing their best player, which could change not just this series, but beyond.
However, what ultimately followed this was even more shocking.
Chicago Bulls have traded Rose to the New York Knicks.
You serious? It's shy, man. That made me who I am, man.
When you see the emotion on Derrick Rose's face, a point effort.
The next stop, in my opinion, is the Hall of Fame.
So, how did we even get here? How did Rose become the youngest MVP ever? And why did the insane speed at which he played destroy his career? Well, to find that out, let's dive straight in.
With the first pick in the 2008 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Derrick Rose from the University of Memphis.
Derrick Rose, born and raised in Inglewood, Chicago, after dominating at Simeon High School and then at Memphis, is eager to get his career started in front of those who kept him on his path to the league.
There have been times that he wanted to go down another path, and we like, hey, Derrick, no. You know, we set him down collectively. And there been many times we all done cried in our front room together.
I really can't do too much around here, or everybody will know, or they'll try to tell my brother, so I was scared I was going to get a beating or something like that.
While also anxious to get the Bulls back into championship contention and past their Michael Jordan hangover with his supreme athletic talents.
He was so fast. If he ever got the ball stolen from him, he was getting pinned on the other end.
Dedicated work ethic.
Knowing that if I come in the gym and work hard every day, I'll be a decent player in the NBA, hopefully.
And high basketball IQ. However, how long would it take for Rose to actually accomplish his Chicago championship dreams? April 18th, 2009.
Derrick Rose playing in his first ever NBA playoff game.
Derrick, after an epic rookie season in which Rose showcased how mature he was for a 20-year-old.
We're watching film and Vinny goes, Kirk, you got Steve Nash. And there goes, no, he doesn't. I got Steve Nash. And he goes, no, our best on-ball defender is Kirk Heinrich. And Derrick, he's painfully shy. No, I got Steve Nash. Like, I'm not running from no matchup.
Whilst also continuing his development in the point guard role.
You got to come in, you got to know every play. So you have to learn every spot, time every spot, so that if I'm early on this play, Lou is going to be late on that play. But Lou is yelling at me, slow the down, Rook. You're going too fast.
And showcasing his supreme athletic ability.
But then I also realized, I'm playing with the fastest guy. He had a layup package that was just insane. Left hand, right hand. It was just the way he was doing it. The fear that he put in people who played against him. The top guys, I would see fear in their eyes all the time. He was quiet. He was a killer.
Was ready here tonight to battle against who most viewed as the game's current best PG, Rajon Rondo.
Me wanting to prove myself to everybody that I could hoop. When Rondo was pressuring the shit out of me, and you got 3 Hall of Famers telling him and everybody being on the same accord, and they trying to scare you with their voice. Hey, we over here, send them over here. Just talking, but for a rook that can intimidate you. You feel what I'm saying? But for me, I'm laughing at it. It's not shaking me. Try something else. You really gonna have to foul me. You gonna really have to physically do something to me.
No
Chicago's got 14, Miller's got 10. Oh my goodness.
Yet, still down 1 with just 37 seconds remaining against the defending NBA champions, could the rookie Rose really rally Chicago back to steal the Game 1 victory?
Rose driving. Oh, goodness. Knocked out by Pierce. Count the basket. 34 for Rose. Chicago back on top.
You don't see this, Dan. This guy is a rookie.
To make things even better for the playoff debutant, even with his rival sending this game into overtime, thanks to Chicago's incredible defense and Derrick's shocking overall performance,
36 points and 11 assists for Derrick Rose in about as good a rookie playoff debut as you will ever see.
It was the 8th-seeded Bulls leaving Game 1 victorious. But despite being crowned as the league's Rookie of the Year before Game 3, the final buzzer of Game 5 indicated that it was the Boston Celtics who ultimately held the commanding 3-2 lead, just 1 W away from moving past the pesky Bulls. So could the Celtics get it done? Game 6. Chicago, after 24 points throughout regulation from their rising star, are desperate here in this game's 3rd overtime to tie the series and earn themselves a 7th and deciding game.
Played by Rose in the paint over Pierce. Oh! What a shot by the Rookie of the Year.
However, it was ultimately Rose's teammate, center Joakim Noah, who had been chosen 9th overall by the Bulls in 2007 after a 2-time national championship winning collegiate career, who made the play of this game.
Noah knocked it away, galloping with Pierce.
Yet, despite all the Chicago heroics, the Bulls still needed that final defensive stop if they were to force Game 7.
Over Rose, rejected by Rose!
But even though the Bulls had forced the defending champions into a must-win 7th battle, Boston's title pedigree was just too much for their rivals, resulting in Derrick Rose's rookie season being cut short here tonight. A defeat that, while it stung, gave those in and around the Chicago franchise the one thing they had been desperate for since 1998: belief. January 22nd, 2010. Thanks to Ben Gordon, the Bulls' leading scorer throughout Derrick's first year in the league, leaving in free agency, Derrick Rose has been on a tear throughout his sophomore season.
Rose spinning, hanging, firing, scoring. Oh, Randy, boy, you're just too little.
Something that only got a whole lot crazier here tonight against the Phoenix Suns.
Lead pass, Rose.
Resulting in Rose achieving something that no other Chicago Bull had done since Michael Jordan left the franchise.
I couldn't stop smiling. There wasn't no tears. All my tears, my mom, cried all them for me, but I was just excited, happy, all that just in one.
But while Derrick was overjoyed at the fact he had been named as an All-Star, Rose was ultimately focused on one thing, and one thing only: the Larry O'Brien Trophy. So throughout the remainder of this 2009-2010 season, Derrick just continued to put fear in the hearts of everyone he faced.
A lot of guys was acting like they was sick when he came in town. Or like, I got an ankle injury, or I got the flu. Like he was scaring people.
Leading Chicago back to the postseason for a matchup against the 2010 MVP LeBron James and his Cleveland Cavaliers.
I'm best player in the NBA to be sticking in. It feels good, so now why not take your shot at him?
However, even with Derrick somehow taking yet another massive leap, averaging 26.8 points and 7.2 assists as a sophomore throughout this round 1 matchup, it was tragically the Cavs eliminating Rose and his Bulls after just 5 games. But what was about to happen would not only impact Chicago's following season, but quite literally change Derrick's life forever.
We are very, very excited to introduce Tom Thibodeau as our head basketball coach today.
Welcoming a brand new leader, Tom Thibodeau, Derrick Rose would set some very clear goals for the 2010-2011 season.
Why can't I be the MVP of the league?
Why can't I be the best player in the league? I don't see why can't I do that?
Stop it! I want to go higher! Rose, Kaboom! Too big, too strong, too fast, too good.
Look out, here's Rose. And that's why so many people feel like Derrick Rose could be the most valuable player in the league this season.
Derrick, after another shocking year in which he had logged the 9th most minutes in the league, had helped lead his Bulls thanks to a 25-point and 7.7 assist average to win 62 games, and was now ready to guide his Chicago side deep into the Eastern Conference playoffs. His first hurdle, the 8th-seeded Indiana Pacers.
Roll with Hibbert, because they knew it was going to be difficult for him to guard him. Oh my goodness.
What made D Rose so special is he was like, he had that bully in him. Like, he was bigger body, he was quick, like he was fast. His first step was like, he's gonna blow by you, and his ability to contort his body. Like, he would do some where he'll start here, come back this way, and finish back over here. Like, it was like he was just floating.
Yeah,
like he would just float in the air.
Screen and roll with Hibbert, because they knew it was going to be difficult for him to guard him. Oh my goodness.
An initial series that, with Chicago leaving having squeezed past the Pacers, the Bulls shifted their attention to their second-round opponent, the Atlanta Hawks. May 6th, 2011.
This right here is for the city of Chicago more than anything.
After being crowned as the league's youngest ever MVP.
And last but not least, I want to thank my mom. Brother Rose, my heart, the reason I play the way that I play, just everything. My mom always made sure she did a great job, even when I was younger. Like, if I tried to brag or do anything, she'd put me in check right away. If playing a game, or if I'm yelling too loud, if I screw on a kid or something, she didn't like that, or she didn't even have to say nothing. I could see that she didn't like this, and that kind of gave me poise to. It gave me enough poise to hold my reactions to certain shit.
Rose was ready to continue to fight towards his ultimate goal here tonight in Game 3.
He hit a floater, threw it up, and caught that. I said,
hold on, he caught it out the net.
He caught it out the net. I said, yep. I saw he playing around now. It's funny to him. I'm a joke. He getting ready for Miami. Okay. Bro, he embarrassing me, bro.
Big thing for him now is just making Sudo. Oh, did you see the move by the MVP? They have not led. Rose has 36 here tonight. Rose has 38 here tonight. Derrick Rose, most points he's had in his NBA career. 44 for Rose.
Recording a playoff career high that not only saw Chicago leaving this third battle with a W, but thanks to 34 points in Game 4, 33 in Game 5, and then 12 assists in Game 6 from their superstar, it was finally the Bulls stepping back into the Eastern Conference Finals for a matchup against the NBA's newest juggernaut.
But we also know you three kings came down here to win championships. Not one, championships.
Not two.
LeBron, tell us about that.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
However, even with the Miami Heat pairing a 2-time MVP in LeBron James and a 4-time All-Star in Chris Bosh,
Come on and vote for me.
with their 2006 Finals MVP, Dwayne Wade, it was actually the Bulls who were the favorites in this series, something that Rose seemingly proved throughout Game 1.
Crowd, here's Rose with a run.
Because thanks to a huge 28-point and 6-assist night, it was Chicago who began the series off victorious. And with their #1 seed providing the Bulls with a home court advantage, the likelihood of their MVP leading them into the finals seemed high. Only LeBron James, after faltering himself in the 2007 finals and desperate to earn the crown he so coveted, was simply unstoppable. The 2003 number 1 pick would go on to average just under 30 points over their next 4 battles, resulting in the Bulls being sent home 3 games short of the ultimate round.
At the end, I told you it's on me. Everything is on me. Just learn from it and just try to do better next year. We're definitely sad that we lost, but we'll take a lot from it, where we'll get closer as a team, get better, and the only thing we can do now is work on our games and in the summer and just try to get it next year.
Christmas Day 2011.
Here's Bryant. What a move.
The Los Angeles Lakers, thanks to gaining a 6-point lead with less than a minute remaining, made it appear as if this game belonged to them.
Rebounded by Deng, goes right to the basket, got fouled, and he's going to get 3 the hard way.
But Chicago, after recording yet another crucial defensive stop, and their forward Luol Deng again providing vital points, just one more stop and a bucket would see Chicago becoming the Grinch for LA fans.
A lot of people say like Pooh's the most humble guy. He's just a quiet guy. His confidence in these moments is insane.
The Bulls with a chance to win here on Christmas Day. Rose left, throws in the lane, Rose, good! Here is Bryant, Kobe to the basket, Kobe for the win, it is blocked!
I don't get flustered or anything like that because I've been playing in hostile environments ever since I was in 6th grade.
Rose crosses over the fadeaway. Got it, missed it back and kiss myself. Oh my MVP time. Windy City Assassin does it again.
Derrick Rose, after showcasing just how dominant he was in this lockout-shortened 2011-2012 season, was now ready, after advancing all the way into the Eastern Conference Finals last season, to take that next step. And the first rung on their playoff ladder was none other than the 8th-seeded Philadelphia 76ers. But doubt that Rose could repeat the heroics of last year's playoffs existed for one simple reason. Derrick was starting to break down. Whether it was his ankles, back, groin, toes, or his feet, the way in which Rose played,
you had to run your heart out to keep up with him.
Combined with the insane minutes he was playing under Coach Tibbs, saw Rose missing 27 of their 66 games that season. Yet, this wasn't the only problem, as due to the fact Rose lacked the long-range jumper to hide behind, all Derrick could do was just continue to play the way he had been playing. A fact that saw many starting to wonder, would Derrick Rose actually be healthy enough to help the Bulls go further in their 2012 postseason run? April 28th, 2012, Chicago holding on to a 12-point lead with just under a minute and 30 remaining thanks to a Derrick Rose 23-point and 9-assist performance, are about to leave this game with a 1-0 lead. However, Coach Tibbs, afraid that the Bulls were going to lose the lead they had built, kept his superstar in throughout the 4th quarter, stating to reporters post-game that he doesn't work backwards like you guys, resulting in one of the most devastating events in NBA history.
Rose came down bad on his left foot.
I knew that I told my right away, nerves start to shaking your leg and you can't control the nerves, like like something really happened. I get to the MRI machine. I started to cry because that was the first time I was by myself, and it hit me. Like, damn, what happened if this motherfucker is or it's over?
Derrick Rose, after tearing his ACL, was ruled out for not only this postseason, but the full following 2012-2013 season, leaving many to wonder, would the former #1 pick, who played at such an insane pace, ever be that same player again? Or was his career over? October 31st, 2013.
Rose with it. Rose with the shot.
The 2011 MVP, after completing a full year of rehab, has seemingly refound that same form he had once shown just 2 games into this 2013-2014 season.
And just being appreciative of me actually going out there and showing glimpses of how I used to play. That's encouraging, and just knowing that I have a bright future.
Yet, on the 22nd of November, after pouring in a 17-point first half against the Portland Trail Blazers, Rose would tragically return to the injury list, this time having suffered a meniscus tear that ruled him out for the remainder of the season. A devastating injury that truly began to suck the hope out of everyone in and around the Chicago franchise. Because while the ACL tear could be blamed purely as bad luck, this meniscus injury made it appear that Derrick Rose truly would never be the same player ever again, something that Rose himself was beginning to believe.
Can I play through this pain?
May 8th, 2015.
Finds Rose. Rose trying to get open, fires away.
Rose, after again completing rehab, returned mostly healthy throughout the 2014-2015 season.
Rose starts to drive, hands, fires, scores. Big time players make big time plays.
However, a third torn meniscus in February of 2015 sidelined the star yet again. However, this time around, the rapid emergence of their 2011 30th pick, Jimmy Butler, as an elite two-way small forward helped to bridge the 2-month gap in which the Bulls were without Rose. And with Derrick's eventual healthy return, Chicago squeezed past the Milwaukee Bucks in round 1 and found themselves with the opportunity to grab a shocking 2-1 lead against the LeBron James-led Cleveland Cavaliers.
Finds Rose. Rose trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer!
However, even with Derrick adding a vintage 31 in Game 4 and then Butler putting 29 on the Cavs' heads in Game 5, it was ultimately LeBron James yet again sending Rose back home far earlier than he had hoped for. But this was only the start of the tragic news for the Chicago native.
What's up, B?
Alright, so I just talked to Phil. The trade is gonna have to take next.
You lying.
Rose, after finally returning to the court healthy enough to appear in 66 games and starting to truly prove he could continue despite all the injuries to be a vital piece as Chicago continued their championship hunt after the Bulls ultimately failed to enter the postseason under new head coach Fred Hoiberg, the Chicago Bulls would tragically give up on their hometown star.
I don't know how to feel right now. Like, I'm anxious, but shy. It's shy, man. That's made me who I am, man.
Derrick Rose, after struggling to fit into the Knicks president Phil Jackson's triangle offense and suffering yet another meniscus tear, everything seemed truly over for Rose. Or was it?
I quit a couple of times, but I never gave up.
October 31st, 2018.
You said, T, you playing tonight? I was like, nah, I ain't f***ing with it. He said, oh, bet, I'm going for it. I said, what you going for? I was like, what you going for? He's like, nah, I'm going for it. I was like, what? He's like, I'm getting it. I'm getting 50.
The former first pick, after initially signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers before the 2017-2018 season, was ultimately traded away to the Utah Jazz mid-year before then being waived by Utah and eventually rejoining his former head coach in Minnesota for the second half of that season, and then ultimately signing a single-year deal with the Wolves for their 2018-2019 campaign. So what actually happened that allowed Rose's career to continue after his struggles in New York? And why did he keep going when anyone else in his position would have quit?
Me and my guy Art in the gym at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, shooting shots, and I had to realize, man, I really do love the game if I'm in the gym. Like, I ain't supposed to be in the gym at that time because it was my safe haven. So that's like me in Cleveland. That's when I realized that I still had joy for the game and the game was still somewhere in me.
A work ethic that allowed Derrick to develop the one thing that might just have saved his knees.
I adjusted my game. I came in as a driver. I came in as athletic, and by the end of my career, I hit 40% from the three 2 or 3 times. That's called adapting.
Last night, Rose playing really well for the Timberwolves. Rose, who had 19 in the third quarter, has his first points of the fourth quarter.
So when he get up to like 40, it's like you all start getting emotional. Like you can see the whole team like about to get 50.
Rose gets inside, puts up a tough shot and hits it anyway. 48.
So he get to like 48, I think, and start crying. We in the middle of the game. We about to win the game. Whole team just start crying.
50. A half a century for Derrick Rose here tonight.
If none of that happened, and I would have never got injured or whatever it was, you never would have got to the resilient side of me. You never would have got to the 50-point game.
Derrick Rose, after fighting back from 3 meniscus tears, an ACL injury, and dozens of ankle problems, had just dropped 50 points, enough to literally bring grown men to tears at how incredible his comeback journey to this point was. While the remainder of Derrick's career would be that of a veteran guard, initially a part of the Detroit Pistons,
tie ball game in New Orleans. Derrick with the drive over Holiday, hits it as time runs out. Derrick Rose wins the ball game.
And then returning to the Knicks for 3 seasons before ending his career after the 2023-2024 season as a part of the Memphis Grizzlies. Rose's story is truly one of the greatest tales of resilience in NBA history.
I've been at the high is high, the low is low. Through it all, I feel like I just got to smile through it.
To go from a stage in his career where not only his body, but his hometown franchise he sacrificed so much for gave up on him, to the player and person Rose has become is truly inspiring.
I feel like I won. I have no regrets, first off, none. And to go from that, from the injuries to where I'm at right now, I feel like that's a dub, because most people would have stopped my career at probably year 4 or 5.
Resulting in Derrick Rose's name and #1 jersey now hanging amongst the greats above the Chicago Bulls home court.
This right here is for the city of Chicago more than anything.
And Derrick's name will forever be etched in NBA history as one of the greatest guards to ever grace the hardwood. Speaking of insane careers that were cut far too short, did you know that there was a shooting guard who many believed was either at or perhaps better than Kobe Bryant? A player who was so dominant that he physically could not be guarded due to the fact that he had 0 weaknesses? Well, to learn more about Brandon Roy's incredible NBA career and what cut it far too short, click the video on your screen right now.